fellow Slowpoke enthusiast, and welcome back again to video number 2. So this is going to be an installment that I kind of had a vision for as I started to create the channel, where I highlight a single card. So my last video was my entire PSA send-off, where I went through a lot of cards, and I felt like I can't really say everything that there is to be said about the history of the card, for me, how it came into my possession, and what I plan to do with it in the future. That's something that a lot of pages don't really go into. I mean, every card has a story, one way or the other. Where it came from, whose hands it was in the past, and whose hands it will go into the future, is all what makes this hobby so enjoyable. Sometimes cards pass between hundreds of people before they find their final home, and I think that's what this installment is going to be about. So today I'm going to be talking about one of the, well, I'm pretty sure the most expensive card in my collection, my first edition Dark Charizard PSA 10. So let's get right to it. So here's the guy. I'll give you a nice close-up look of this Charizard. I think the artwork, actually I'm gonna take him out of the sleeve. These sleeves for the PSA cards are really good because they do get damaged. The cases do get surface scratches and stuff like that. So, it's always good to keep them in as much protection as possible. Always wear protection. So here's the Dark Charizard, PSA 10. The holo is crazy. It's got this deep, dark, bluish color. I just think this pose is so iconic. I have a lot of great things to say about this card. So I just first wanted to give you a really good look at it, really zoom in and allow you to see what a 10 looks like, what facilitates a card getting a 10. In my opinion, I mean, there is some noticeable wear. A card doesn't necessarily need to be perfect to get a 10, in my opinion. In my experience, I should say. A card doesn't necessarily need to be in perfect condition to get a 10, in my experience. So here's the guy. So let's get into the story. So many collectors do this, scour the internet, secondhand selling websites or what have you, in order to try to find deals, to try to find people who are selling cards, in order to hopefully get them at a discounted price. Now, a lot of people aren't willing to take risks. They want to know what they're buying before they go. They want to know that it's going to be a good value. They want to know that they're going to plus, to use the language of some other people that I know. But I've found that some of the most rewarding experiences I've had as a collector were the ones that I've taken bigger risks on. And this Charizard's no exception. So, Craigslist. I was on Craigslist and I was looking for cards, as I often did. And I found someone who had no pictures on Craigslist, but were saying that they were selling cards. So I said, okay, I'll see what this guy has. I sent him a message. He asked me to text him, which was a little fishy to me. And I was like, okay, why are we not having the conversation through email as we were? And he then sent me some pictures of some cards he had. He did not send me the picture of this Dark Charizard. He sent me pictures of some other things, some odds and ends cards that I was interested in, but nothing really stood out to me. He asked if we could meet up, and I said sure. I'll pick up what I can. At this point, I was still in college, had no money, absolutely no money. But when I got there, he had so many cards that I wanted. There was no way I could afford them. Now, I had someone who I used to do a lot of card stuff with say to me, you pay too much for cards. Just undercut them a little bit more. Pay a little less. And I I didn't really agree. I mean, I like the idea of transparency, of being able to buy a card from someone where they know the price and we both feel like we're getting a good deal. But at this time I said, okay, let me try that out. So in this deal, he had all of these first ed hollows, a complete Team Rocket set first ed minus like 3 cards, which I ended up picking up from Troll and Toad down the road. But I undercut him. I gave him a price that I wouldn't have been comfortable selling my cards for, and truthfully, a number that I didn't respect myself. And he gave me a look like, well, I can't do that, but I can sell this amount for that amount. And that resulted in me getting the entire dark set, first ed dark set, plus a Lugia and Ho-Oh, Neo Genesis and Neo Revelation, unlimited. That graded, the Lugia graded an 8, the Ho-Oh graded a 10, for $300. The near complete set, not just the hollows, all first ed, the Lugia and the Ho-Oh for $300. Now, I had offered him like $450 for everything that he had. He had first ed Neo, first ed base set, and just so many cards that like, and now I lost the guy's contact. Like, I don't even know what I would do if I wanted to talk to him again. But it taught me a very valuable lesson that like, you are better off being fair and being reasonable than you are trying to really, really undercut someone, because they might know, and if they know, then you're gonna screw yourself over. Now, I still see a lot of people who are in the community who operate on the idea of, I'm gonna try to pay as little as possible on these cards because, you know, I don't have unlimited money myself, and I need to make profit. I want the best deal I can, but like, this hobby's different than that, you know? Everyone who has cards for a reason, and they value them. So, you know, if someone's gonna sell it to you for 1/10 of the price, and that's what they're asking, I mean, I guess, but to undercut someone who really doesn't know is something that I don't really respect. You know, there's plenty of times where I'm going to pick up a lot, and they'll tell me, you know, I have no idea what this is worth, and I'll say, okay, well, let's go somewhere where we can sit down so I can price them and show you what they're worth and show you what I can pay. And I've just found those to be more rewarding. They result in relationships and not just a growth to the collection. So that's the Dark Charizard. I now have the complete set. They're not all graded. I just graded the Zard. He came back at 10. It was so early in my grading that I had no idea what it was going to get. I mean, I have a video on my Instagram of me handling this card like unsleeved and making a video where I'm showing it off. But one thing that I found really interesting about it was that this top corner here has a slight curve that's a little bit different than the other corner. It's pretty obvious, but I've seen other 10s have that same thing, so I don't know if that's just kind of how these cards were printed, but that's what it is. I also have, I pulled it out over here to show you, my unlimited Team Rocket Dark Zard. So this is one of my childhood cards. I was always competing with my brother who had a base set Charizard, and I could never pull a base set Charizard. And then one day I pulled the unlimited Dark Zard. So this card is so valuable to me, it's not even funny. So that's why, you know, I love the Dark Zard. Because of that, it'll just always represent that moment of competition between me and my brother, and the base set, this being kind of the next big Zard after the base set Zard. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was the price of this card, what the price currently is, and where I project it going. So when I first got it back, I tried to sell it for $800. This was years ago. I tried to sell it for $800. I saw them going for between $750 and $900, $750 and $900, and you know, most auctions would fall somewhere between there. So I was like, you know, $800 seems fair. I paid $300 for the whole lot. If I got $800 for that Zard, that would be a major win. But a lot of people were undercutting, right? Saying, oh, well, I can pay $650, I can pay $4, I can pay $5. And I'm very happy that I held out, right? Because even in that situation, that was substantially more than I paid for the set. I still had the whole set. At that price, I could buy an ungraded first ed and put it back into my set, but I held off. I put it back in the collection. It never sold for $800. I waited. I put it up again for $1,200. As I saw the prices going up, I saw them selling for $1,000. I saw them selling for $900. I saw them selling for $950. And so I said, all right, $1,200, because now I had already seen the card jump from $7 to $1,000. I knew that asking $12 wouldn't be that unreasonable if someone really wanted it. I had a lot of people who sent me messages like, well, will you trade it? Can you do $1,000? Can you do $850? And I'm like, that's so funny, because I was asking $800, and now that I'm asking more, you're willing to pay what I was originally asking. So with that in mind, I said, well, I'm not gonna budge from this price, because one, don't really need the money. Two, I love the card. It was the first big purchase that I made, and it's worth that. It's worth $1,200. Fast forward to today, I get offers from $2,000 to $3K, and I really don't know what would make me feel comfortable selling that card, for a bunch of reasons. It's the centerpiece of my collection right now. It's the most expensive card I have. It has that great story with being the first ed version of one of my favorite cards of all time. It's a 10. That's crazy. I just don't know. I love it too much, and also I've seen it go up in value so much that it's hard for me to rationalize selling it at this point. On the other hand, if I sold it for $2,000, if I sold it for $3,000, that would be a lot of money to reinvest back into the hobby. If I was able to get that for $300, what am I able to get for $3,000? That's kind of one thing that's ticking in the back of my head. As I record this video, I'm actually talking with someone about potentially trading the 10 for a 9, with the difference being made up in cash, and we'll see. That would be a hard trade to do as well, right? Because what do? I'm gonna mail you a $3,000 card, and you're gonna mail me a $1,000 card, and I'm gonna hope that your card comes, and I'm gonna hope that your payment comes. I'm a little bit nervous when it gets to be that high end of a trade. So for what it's worth, that's my Dark Charizard. And that's the story of my Dark Charizard. That's the story of how I spent $300 on cards while I was still in college, and I did not have the money to do that. And that's the story of how I spent another $200 on my PSA submission to get that graded. $500 later, and hurting from having no money, I have this Charizard here today. Its value has gone up substantially. I foresee it going up more in the future. Within the 3 or 4 years of having it, it's gone up from $800 to what I feasibly think it's worth $3,000 right now. There's other Charizard. The Blaine's Charizard first ed is so much more expensive than it, and personally, I think that this artwork is better. I see this card really rising in price in the future. So, in my last video, I also described how it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a first ed. It doesn't matter if it's a 10. If you want this card, if you like this artwork, get the unlimited. Get the version that you can afford. There's a non-holo. There's a non-holo version. Get the unlimited, non-holo, PSA, whatever you want. Even if you don't want it graded, take the risks to get the cards that you want. Ultimately, it'll pay off in the future. Don't undercut people. Pay what they want. Try to get a deal where you can, but be fair. Long story short, be fair. So I'll give you one last look at the card. Big Daddy himself. Dark Charizard, Nail Flick 10. Continuous fireball 50 times. I remember looking at it when I was younger and being like, is this card even any good? But yeah, here he is. So thank you for watching and listening to my card story. I plan to do more videos like this in the future, where I take a card out of my collection and I kind of explain how I got it, where it came from, and what I project its price to be, and just the story of it, because every card has a story. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and stay tuned to get an update on my PSA submission as I get them. I'm already very excited about this YouTube channel. I know a lot of my friends on Instagram are excited to see the first couple of videos, so I'll be keeping you all posted. Catch you later. Slowpokes.